All right. So this is something that I hope will add to what you've learned from the holistic nutritionist and
Mhm,
give you a little bit more insight as to why oils are kind of more complex than maybe you're let out to know
mhm,
inherently from what people always say. They say like, oh, you shouldn't eat enough, you should eat oil, you shouldn't eat oil. Like, what does it really mean? Like, why? you know
mhm,
so here we are. I'm going to be outlining something to you that is pretty not talked about actually in nutrition,
mhm,
which is this notion of smoke point.
mhm.
um so first, before we get into smoke point, we want to like dive into like why we would even use certain oils in the first place. So um first, we're going to talk about flavorful oils versus
Mhm.
neutral oils.
Okay.
So I'm going to read this out and then I'm just going to add a little anecdote. And if you have any
Okay.
questions after I finish reading this and I give my little anecdote, pop in. Okay.
Sure. Sounds good.
So flavorful oils versus neutral oils. Sometimes the oils rich in flavor are desired for certain dishes. For example, sesame oil is really complementary to Asian cuisine. In some cases, extra flavor in the oils will muddle the final outcome of the dish. In these
Mhm,
cases, opt for neutral oils like peanut oil, vegetable oil, or canola oil. In
mhm.
addition to these flavor differences, neutral oils also tend to have higher smoke points, making them suitable for frying. Okay? I want you to remember that word smoke point, and I also want you to remember that flavorful oils generally will have a lower smoke point, and neutral oils will have a higher smoke point. Okay?
Mhm. Okay.
Any questions so far?
No.
Cool. My mom's making noise in the background. All right. So, number two, unrefined versus refined oils.
Mhm,
So, after oils are extracted or pressed, they can either be bottled immediately or they can be refined and processed. Oils left in their natural state are labeled as unrefined, cold pressed, raw, virgin, or unrefined. These oils tend to retain flavors as well as beneficial minerals, nutrients, and enzymes. However, these oils tend to have lower smoke points and are best used for very low cooking or heat cooking or raw, like salad dressings or finishing drizzles. Refined oils are processed through filtering, bleaching, or heating to remove the volatile compounds that break down in virgin oils. The resulting product offers neutral taste, long shelf life, and high smoke point. There's that word again, smoke point.
mhm.
So, again, just to summarize, these unrefined oils are going to be more flavorful. These refined oils are going to be more bland. These unrefined oils are going to be best used for salad dressings, drizzles, and stuff like this with low heat. These um, these other oils that are more bland are generally going to be used for high heat contexts. Okay,
So refined oil is flavorful or not flavorful?
not flavorful.
I see.
Yeah,
I see. Okay.
it's like filtering all of the flavor out. That's what they do.
Mhm.
But in turn, it makes it more stable to be used at high heat contexts. But we're going to get
Mhm.
into that.
Okay.
So the next is omega fatty acids. So certain fatty acids, including omega-9 and omega-3 fatty acids, are healthy for the human body. Oils high in these beneficial fatty acids include avocado oil, flaxseed oil, and extra virgin olive oil. However, omega-6 fatty acids, almond oil, can cause inflammation in the human body and should be consumed in smaller quantities. The thing I want to just add in here is that if we are somebody who eats out a
Mhm,
lot, if we are somebody who buys packaged foods or different things like this, there is generally going to be added omega-6 oil because it's super cheap. These are our vegetable oils and stuff like this.
Mhm.
And I don't have the exact figure, but it's some crazy figure like 36 to 1.
Mhm.
We get 36 omega 6 oil to every 1 omega 3 in our diet. And if we want to
Mhm.
support a healthy mind, a healthy heart, we want to make sure we're getting our omega 3s. And we're counterbalancing this high omega 6 content that is just pervasive in our diets. And especially if somebody were to eat out more, this is even more important to be getting our omega 3s.
Mhm. So there's more omega-6 in where you're eating out?
Yeah, in general, because of the added vegetable oil. Yeah.
I see.
So as a
Interesting.
rule, omega 3 is a very, very important thing. And actually, just to add in here, um, in nutrition, there's a distinction between essential and non-essential.
Yeah.
Essential uh, essential nutrition essentially refers to needing to obtain it from your environment. Like your body can't create it. Like
Mhm.
your body needs to be able to actually get it from the environment.
Mm.
So essential fatty acids, these are some examples of things that we need to consume for our environment. And if
Mhm.
you've ever heard the expression, you are what you eat,
Mhm. Yes,
well, if we're
many
eating
times.
things that are supportive of our brain health and heart health, then we're going to be someone who
Mhm.
has a heart that is healthy and a brain that's healthy. But if we're consuming all these super inflammatory high omega 6 oils and low amounts of omega 3, well, it makes sense that our heart is going to be less healthy. And, we're going to
Mhm.
have more of that inflammation that's going to be um, doing harm to us. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, another branch of oil is saturated versus unsaturated fat. Okay.
Mhm.
So, saturated fats are commonly found in meat, cheese, butter, and many processed foods. So, unsaturated fat or monounsaturated fats are commonly found in nuts and seeds and are much healthier. As we previously talked about these omega 3 oils, um, these oils like olive oil, that is an unsaturated fat. Okay,
Omega-3 is unsaturated. Okay.
that's right. So
Got it.
how you can also tell is like if you were to like leave butter out in room temperature, does
Mhm.
it turn to a liquid?
Yes. Well, depends, I guess.
Unless
Butter,
you
it
live in like
softens. It
Arizona.
softens. Well, it will melt. Yes.
So in at room temperature, butter will not melt.
Oh, will not? Okay.
Yes.
Ah.
But if you leave olive oil out in room temperature, what happens to it? Does it turn solid? Does it what happens?
I think it turns into like it's trying to turn, it becomes white and it turns solid, yes.
So does it? So saturated fat turns white, right?
Oh no, wait. I don't know.
Yeah.
Olive oil is sitting on my shelf without being refrigerated. So
Great.
it
So
just
an
it's
is it a liquid or is it a solid?
no, it's a liquid.
Great. So oils that are unsaturated are a liquid at room temperature.
Hmm.
So uh, if you've ever cooked like meat,
Yeah,
after you've left it on the pan for a long time, you notice how it gets all like hard and stuff.
yeah,
So and white, that is
yes.
saturated fat. So at room
Um,
temperature, saturated fat turns hard or solid.
hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So that's how you
Yes.
can tell if something is saturated or unsaturated. Now, unsaturated fats are essential.
Hmm.
We need to get it from our diet. Saturated fat is the same as belly fat. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to sit here and like have there be a debate about like whether fat is good or bad. I don't think that's a healthy debate because there are people that subscribe to keto that eat a ton of saturated fat. There are people who are vegan and they have barely any saturated fat. The point that we want to really drive home here is that saturated fat has its place. And people who do keto, they eat saturated fat because it keeps them full.
Hmm.
Saturated fat, though, like I said, is belly fat. And we don't need it. I mean, we do need it or we'll die. However, we have a surplus of it, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
Now, should we avoid it altogether? No. Should we be aware and know how much we're consuming? Yes. That is healthy. The thing to note out of this slide and the slide before is that we don't get enough omega-3 and unsaturated fats. That is the take-home message.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can replace some of the saturated fat in our diets,
Mm-hmm.
or some of the refined oils or omega-6 oils with omega-3, it'll make a difference for your heart and for your brain. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll read the second part of this. In general, oils that are liquid at room temperature contain more unsaturated fats, making them healthier choices than products like butter or lard, which contain more saturated fat. And again, my disclaimer, when you subscribe to keto or carnivore diet or all these other diets that preference saturated fat, there is a debate. So this notion of healthier, I want to bring back to the point of, in general, people don't get enough healthy oils.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I use the word healthier. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Next, this notion of smoke point. So, what is it? The smoke point of an oil is the temperature at which it stops shimmering and starts smoking. So, shimmering is just a fancy word for saying like it goes past the point of just being heated to now smoking.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
The smoke point is also called the burning point of oil and can range relatively low from 325 or 160 degrees Celsius to very high at 520 degrees Fahrenheit, 270 degrees Celsius. And why this is important is because the smoke point is sometimes inevitable. For example, when stir frying in an extremely hot wok. However, smoking is a sign that the oil is breaking down. And when oils break down, they release chemicals that give the food a burnt or bitter flavor. And it also releases harmful free radicals. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Interesting.
So
I always wondered
basically,
about that. Hmm.
the add-on that I'll add to this is that when you use imagine you use olive oil and you use it in a high heat cooking context.
Mm-hmm.
So that breakdown of the oil can actually cause trans fats to be created. And
Mm.
if you've heard of trans fats before, it's because they're highly related to cancer and heart disease.
Mm.
So we want to limit the amount of trans fats in our diet, and being aware of when to use certain types of oils, given the cooking context, actually makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, in summary, trans fats can be created if we use a low smoke point oil in a high heat context. Like if we were to try to, for example, use um, like unrefined olive oil to stir fry. That would be a silly thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here are just some values and also some considerations with respect to like flavor and cooking. You know, if you take a look, we have extra virgin olive oil, flaxseed, and hemp seed oil. What you'll notice between all of these is they are all used in the context of sauces, dressings, finishing oils, smoothies, or marinades. You don't see their best use being cooking. You don't see it as like stir frying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing to note is that each of these have different flavors too. So the flavors give merit for when somebody would use it in a particular recipe. So that's another consideration to put in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we take a look at something like avocado oil, which is in the middle here, we notice that best uses for sauteing, frying, sauces, salad dressings, all of them. Notice that it can be used in all of those contexts. But the thing that it has that the others didn't was frying, high heat context.
Mm-hmm.
And if we take a look, the smoke point is 510 to 520 degrees Fahrenheit, very high.
Mm-hmm.
compared to what we had before, which was 225 for flaxseed oil and 325 for extra virgin olive oil.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not going to read all of them, but you can also see, again, in the middle for avocado oil, buttery flavors, right? So if you had the goal of creating a sauce that you wanted to have those buttery flavors come out, then you'd maybe use it in that context, right? So
Mhm.
that would take getting to know the oil.
So
Something I want to add in to coconut oil is that it's a little bit different than some of the other oils. All of these other oils, they're long chain fats. Now,
mhm.
coconut oil contains short chain fats and medium chain fats. And
Mhm.
what you'll notice with coconut oil, if you have it in, say, your cupboard or something, if you put coconut oil in the fridge, it will be hard. If you put coconut oil at room temperature, it might be a mixture between liquid and hard. If it's a
Yeah.
hot summer day and you put it out in your kitchen, you'll notice that it is a liquid.
Mhm.
The reason why this is the case is because the length of the fat, the coconut oil, is shorter than all of these other types of oils. This is known as a medium chain fat.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Okay.
you'll also see a lot of people using coconut oil in coffee or other
Oh, coffee.
contexts like this. Now,
Mm.
the reason why they do this is because it also absorbs differently. Now, I'm not going to get into the absorption, but I just
Mhm.
wanted to illustrate that due to the properties of coconut oil, people actually use it in a different way.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I think this is our last one, is it? Nope, we got more. So ghee is like a dairy-free version of butter,
Mhm.
and I think at least actually I'm not even going to pretend to. Yeah, it takes the milk
Mhm.
solids out. Okay, my mom wants to be on the video too.
Mhm.
Um, and
Yes.
and now she's apparently sorry. I don't know why she's sorry either. But anyways,
So
we're
good.
just gonna make a whole moment of it,
Welcome.
and everybody's gonna love it. So
Oh.
uh, yeah, take the milk solids out, I guess. So I've never used it personally, but the reason why it's on here is because with the whole paleo movement and bulletproof coffee and all this, ghee has become a very hot topic, very trendy, very hip with the kids, as they say. I don't think they say
Mhm.
that. Um, so just to note that here, the smoke point of that is 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Note that for ghee, it's still lower than avocado oil.
Mm.
However, it can be still used in the context of sautéing and roasting. And also we've got peanut oil, sesame oil, and like like we alluded to before, these flavors matter. So for Asian cuisine, Mediterranean cuisine, Middle Eastern cuisine, we might use more sesame oil.
This is super interesting because every New Year's my mom and always makes fondue dinner. And
Mm,
fondue dinner meaning she uses the peanut or sesame oil, and then they put it in a pot and they put all the vegetables and meats. So I'm
mhm.
wondering how high that smoke point is, and if we're actually utilizing that. That would be interesting to know.
It's a good question, and two, like what I would want to add to this is like finding like a dietitian to speak to um, some of the questions too, because like the question that I've always had is, we can. I basically take the approach of mitigating smoke point issues, so like
Mm.
finding the best oil in the context.
Yeah,
Now, with deep frying, like the temperature's super high. So like you said, using fondue as the context, like, you know,
yeah,
sometimes these temperatures are super high. Like,
yeah,
are we just submitting to trans fats in these cases? Maybe. Um,
yeah. That's scary for like my family. Considering that we also have a trendy heart disease pattern, and
well,
and if
there.
we're doing this every year,
Hmm.
even I wonder why. And some people opt for soup instead because
Yeah.
of a certain smoke point. I didn't realize about that.
Yeah. And also it's that omega-6 oil too, right? That high
Yeah.
inflammation, the and if we want to be supporting our heart, we want to be getting those omega-3 oils, right? And we want to be minimizing that saturated fat, and we want to be, and again, arguable. I'm just throwing this in here because I don't want to get backlash from people who subscribe to the like high saturated fat. There's a merit. Okay, I don't want to go there anymore. Uh, you're totally right, though. This is what the discovery of like, hey, we've got this routine every year that we have this really high heat, high oil, high fat,
Yeah.
high calorie meal, and we have heart disease in our family.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
This is going to be shared with my family.
Cool. Well, and again, there's nothing wrong. Like we want to be educated. If
That's
we're
right.
able to mitigate how damaging a routine is, because like my family's French, we love fondue. We like cheese fondue though, you know? So that's like saturated fat with oil, and then we put hot dogs on top, and then sometimes we put beer batter. Oh man!
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
we don't do that every year.
Yeah.
I've done that like, I mean, I don't know. We always use peanut oil, and that is what you guys use too. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And if that's the smoking point and it has like the effect of heart disease and cancer, it's kind of scary.
It is a little scary, right? And like, I mean, these are how lifestyle choices like make a difference over time, right? This is not
Yeah,
intended to scare, and it's
definitely.
also not. I'm not stating this to say never do it.
Mm-hmm.
You should be informed about your choices, though. Every
Mm-hmm.
time that we're making a choice, we're making a choice for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
when we are making a choice to have fondue, we're making a choice to have fun with family, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just want to mitigate the impact on our health. So what it could mean is just limiting how much you have of the fondue. Still have the fondue. Don't give yourself any type of grief or any type of like feelings of what am I trying to say? Guilt. That's the word.
But sometimes it's like sometimes it is bubbling for like so long, and for 2 hours even. So I don't even know what, like, like the heat. This is, I guess, is a valid point. With the heat being at 232 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes, or I mean, even for 2 hours. This is more realistic because we're having fondue dinner for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Does that affect anything? I mean,
Right. And so because my I mean, this is not an area of expertise that I have in the, like, I'm not going to sit here and diagnose and prescribe or say one thing or the other. This is the data, right? The
yeah,
smoke point is the smoke point,
yes,
and the impact of it in the research suggests that it will obviously not be good for the heart, right?
yes,
And
right,
it would be a question to bring up to somebody who has that expertise in that area. All I want this to be is an enlightenment, because there are many people that don't even know that there's a smoke point, and they have
yeah,
been using olive oil for frying, and this like blows their mind. And
yeah,
one thing that I would encourage you to do is like use olive oil to fry and
yeah,
watch what happens to the oil at room temperature.
yeah.
The oil will actually go hard.
Mm.
But that's weird because oils, unsaturated fats, should be liquid at room temperature. Why is it hard? Oh, it's
Yeah.
because we've damaged the oil structure,
Mm-hmm.
right? The bonds have been broken, and so they've reformatted themselves
Mm.
into transformation from a cis formation.
Interesting.
So let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
We got palm oil, sunflower oil, and canola oil.
And palm oil, I found out this is the reason why I was talking to the holistic nutritionist, was because I was telling her that I think I'm allergic to palm oil because it gives me a lot of a lot of chest pains, and I get dizzy.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why, but for some reason it does.
Got it. Yeah, and like that's the other thing is um, your individual nutritional needs need to be considered when choosing these oils as well. So if that's the case, where palm oil is, doesn't agree with you, then that's a really great thing to be aware of. And now that you've discovered that, now you can see all these other contexts of oils that you could use if you say wanted to do a, you know, if you were to fry something, you'd look for another oil that would yield a similar function.
Hmm.
So you'd look to your peanut or sesame oils if you wanted, if those worked. And yeah, so hopefully that. Let me just stop the recording, or I guess I don't need to stop the recording.
Nope.
You can see my, you can just see
Hmm.
my keynote, but stop sharing. There we go. That is our fun little lesson.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That
Yep.
actually feels. I've been looking at that for so long and wondering, trying to make sense out of it. So.
Well, great. I'm glad. I hope I filled in some gaps. And I mean, again, like I said, take those questions and perhaps like a dietitian would be able to speak to the like if you have heart disease in the family.
Yeah.
And we now have identified the topic of oils and your habit of once per year doing a fondue. What
Yeah.
you would do is you would actually go to that dietitian who
Hmm.
has the authority to diagnose and prescribe, and bring
Hmm.
that diagnosis to them,
Yeah.
and then speak to what to do instead. The other thing that you can do is to note that question down, and when you speak with Sasha, who's the cardiac nurse, she will also be able to speak to that, because she can also she has authority to speak to that with respect to disease. I do not.
Okay.
Okay,
Good to know. Okay. Awesome.
cool.
And when does this get put up?
I have no idea. I can send it to you. I can send it to you now if you want, and I'll
Yes,
just
that would be great. Yeah.
I'll
And I
just
just
leave
start
all the little
listening.
quirky things in
Yeah.
here, and upload it to YouTube, and just be funsies. I don't know.
Yeah. Definitely.
The cam
Yeah.
unfiltered. Ta-ta.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I
Okay, cool.
appreciate that.
I'll
Okay.
upload it right now, and I'll
Okay.
send you the link.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Talk to you
Goodbye.
later.
See
Okay.
you
Thanks.
later.
Bye.